evening and a very warm welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. You're with me tonight. I'm Subhajunklin Suwan. The second Asia-Pacific Climate Change Adaptation Forum ended today. One of the conclusions reached at the meeting was that in dealing with natural disasters, governments must provide the public with accurate information and seek public participation before implementing mitigation or prevention policies.
Decision-making, public participation and fairness was one of the 24 panels held at the United Nations Conference Center over the past 2 days. As climate change continues to take its toll on humanity, natural disasters are inevitably becoming more extreme and impacting our life even like never before, making it increasingly difficult for those in power to make decisions on how to deal with the impact. However, the panel speakers said many governments in this region continue to leave out public participation in decision-making. The panel stressed that officials must provide accurate information of the situation to the public, listen to the people, and have them participate in decision-making. One of the participants attending the conference is a member of the Klong Jinda community, who claims local wisdom in controlling water could have saved them from inundation last year, but only if they had received accurate and timely information from the government. Meanwhile, Thais are not the only people questioning their government about fairness and equal treatment after a major disaster occurs.
Fair meaning that there is a whole question of equity and fairness in climate change discussion itself. And there are two types of equality. One is the equality fairness between countries, which is called international. And the other one is intranational, within the country, fairness, rich and the poor. If you look at the example of floods in Bangkok, the poor have lost their property.
Meanwhile, looking at the big picture, one of the main agendas raised at the second Asia-Pacific Climate Change Adaptation Forum is that everyone on this planet must be provided with accurate knowledge on climate change and take their part in helping to prevent further damage to our planet.
The cabinet today extended the state of emergency in 3 southernmost border provinces for another 3 months. Meanwhile, the Deputy Prime Minister and Army Commander are preparing to visit the insurgent-troubled area tomorrow following recent studies which assess that part of the unrest was caused by arms and drug dealers. After a military commanders meeting today, General Thanasak Patimakon, Supreme Commander, urged all armed forces to assist the government's work, including fighting floods, drug suppression, transnational crime, and terrorism. The Supreme Commander further mentioned that the Thai-Cambodia border relations are being handled by the Joint Working Group, or the JWG, while the International Security Operations Command, or ISOC, is handling the situation in the far south. ISOC has found that the regional unrest is linked to many factors, encompassing drugs and arms dealing. Meanwhile, the cabinet meeting today approved extending the state of emergency in the 3 southernmost provinces for 3 additional months from March 20th to June 19 in Yala, Narathiwat, and Pattani provinces, except Maelan district. Today, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra insists the need of speed for the splashing of the 24 billion baht budget set for 246 projects related to the flood prevention plans, ensuring that corruption will not occur. However, the government is still facing the challenge of indicating water retention areas, some of which may cover residential areas. Here's more with Kun Kaen Raktam.
The Prime Minister reiterated that every state agency related to flood prevention and mitigation must propose detailed action and business plans to the Committee on Water and Flood Management to avoid any possible corruption in the budget spending. She added that the government will continue to obtain the latest weather forecast and climate info, as well as the retention capacity of the country's reservoirs and how much water can pass through the canals and rivers. So the authorities will be able to indicate the exact water retention areas the flood waters will be diverted to. The PM insisted that local and national administrators must visit local areas to clearly inform the public about this plan, especially to people who live near the flood prevention projects.
I think this one must be the job of the governor. Have to go to at the side by side and have to clear communication and give the two-way feedback.
The Agriculture and Cooperatives Ministry, which will be the main body responsible for creating understanding among the population, will also evaluate the possibility of flooding before pinpointing exact locations for flood retention areas in May. Pakdihan Himatongkam, Deputy Government spokesman, explained that the approximate 41 billion baht budget for the flood prevention plan has already been approved by the cabinet, but the government will initially spend 24 billion baht only on the 246 so-called urgent projects under the flood prevention plan.
The cabinet has already approved 41 billion baht for a total of 249 projects. But 246 project is an urgent project which has to be done right away. So the other three projects, total of 41 billion baht, is a long-term investment.
246 urgent projects are to prevent the floods along the eastern and western sides of Chao Phraya River. Approximate 15 billion baht of the total budget will be spent on building dikes along the eastern side of Chao Phraya River and the western side of Rapipat Canal, as well as repairing the sluice gates and installing more water pumping stations. About 9 billion baht will be spent on the construction of dikes along the eastern side of Chao Phraya River, starting from Phaya Baloi Canal onto the Chao Phraya River's delta, as well as along the Phaya Baloi Canal, Prapimon Canal, and Mahasawat Canal, the eastern side of Tajin River, and improvement of the drainage systems. This is Kaen Raktham, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Kaen. And while residents in the northern region are still suffering under a massive haze, locals in Puttamonthon are also being irritated by dust particles flowing from the oil drilling site. The Senate Committee on the Environment indicated that another round of public hearings is needed to receive residents' input. After drilling for 4 days, locals are already experiencing allergic reactions to dust particles. Community representatives are forwarding a lawsuit to the administrative court in hopes that it will consider the case within 15 days. Earlier, a lawsuit was submitted to the Department of Mineral Fuels in an attempt to terminate the oil drilling project. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Environment urged Director of the Roijana district to investigate the drilling for oil on the public's behalf. A public hearing should also be arranged to review the Environmental Impact Assessment, or EIA, the Senate said. Songpop Ponchan, Director General of the Department of Mineral Fuels, mentioned that the current drilling depth is 350 meters and insisted that the operation has measures in place to prevent wastewater and hazardous substances from spilling out of the area. It is expected that the amount of oil below the surface will be determined by the end of this month. Community representatives, together with Ekarun Prompan, a Bangkok MP, will file complaints with the Natural Resources and Environmental Crime Suppression Division tomorrow to request the drilling of the operation to be closed down, as the alleged Mitra Energy Company have breached the law on factories and substances. And now moving on up to the north. In the north, the haze in Sukhothai province continues to affect the visibility. Airplanes were forced to land elsewhere, and despite the overall northern haze situation improving, officials insist it is not yet time to lift the haze alert. A tropical storm which hit Chiang Mai has destroyed or damaged a number of houses and advertisement hoardings. However, on the positive side, according to the latest report, the airborne particles have been smaller than 10 microns for two straight days already. The governor of Nan has urged the northern people through a radio program to stop burning their fields. If the officers find anyone continuing the burning, they will be charged with an offense. Meanwhile, Shod Naramunthon, the president of the Tourism Union in Mae Hong Son, says the haze problem has significantly affected the tourism business. From February 25th until today, more than 25 flights have already been cancelled, which may have cost the country approximately 10 million baht. The haze situation in Sukhothai province, however, is still affecting visibility, which is still limited to 1 kilometer. Yesterday, one flight by Bangkok Airlines could not land in Sukhothai province. Chakrin Pianwong, the governor of Sukhothai, has now imposed tougher punishment for anyone who continues burning, especially in Si Sachanalai and Kongkailat district. 4 months after the 2011 floods subsided, the majority of factories in Roijana Industrial Park in Ayutthaya remain closed as they are unable to resume operations or have moved operations to the northeastern region. Thousands of dormitories, which used to house the factory workers, are facing financial losses. Some of them will even be repossessed as installments have not been paid.
Around 40 units of Direk Damrong apartment have been left unoccupied for the past 4 months as demand plummets. Its total monthly revenue is now a mere 5,000 to 6,000 baht, significantly lower than the monthly loan installment of 80,000 baht. So, Direk Damrong apartment will be seized by the bank in a matter of months. This apartment also faces similar fate, where despite discounted rents, no less than 2 tenants are moving out each day. More than 70% of factories in Roijana Industrial Park have not resumed production, while more than 100 have already closed down. Some firms have moved their employees to other plants. Meanwhile, the Board of Investment, or BOI, is working with the Industrial Estate Authority of Thailand to establish more industrial parks in the flood-free northeastern region, in an attempt to attract more foreign investments to the area. Figures from the Industry Ministry reveal that at least 148 auto parts and electrical appliances investment projects worth 45 billion baht have been established in Nakhon Ratchasima alone. The Department of Employment indicates that the recent flood has affected 28,679 business enterprises and 1 million employees, 20,000 of.
The final curtain fell on the 40th National Games in Kaen province today, with athletes from Bangkok receiving the highest number of gold medals, followed by Chonburi and Kaen as first and second runners-up. During the 11-day event, one of the top tourist sites among athletes and sports fans from across the country was actually Kaen's King Cobra Village. Only 50 kilometers away from downtown Kaen is Ban Kok Sanga of Nam Pong district, also known as the King Cobra Village. So named because every house in this village raises, of course, king cobras as household pets. No one is certain why the serpents here seem to be more tame than similar snakes in the other regions of Thailand, but putting on daily live shows has placed this village on the world map. Butta, president of the King Cobras Club, says Kaen Games brought in visitors from various provinces to the village, while the athletes also enjoyed the show and also had knowledge which they picked up about how to prevent and protect themselves from poisonous snake bites. However, the snake charmers insist that visitors should never try this at home. And this news piece was covered by Kun Jamlak Luanrod, who is our reporter for the news for the sports news desk. As for the medals, athletes from Bangkok won a total of 84 gold medals, 95 silver and 102 bronze, while Chonburi, which came in second, won 62 gold, 47 silver and 58 bronze, while the host city, which is Kaen, came in third place with 45 gold, 30 silver and 34 bronze medals. And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supajon Klinsuwan. Sawadee krap.